You don't want to go out and open another H&M store. You don't want to compete with what's exactly out there and have the same feel and same store. It's not going to work that way. The only way to stand out is to have your brand do something different. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Seetal and you're watching Seetal MD. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is fashion business. It is what I have gone into as a career choice after doing medicine. And I hope that the things that I'm going to share with you today will benefit you in some way or another. So with that said, let's get on with the first topic today, which obviously comes with branding. Everything comes with branding. Now, branding is so much more than a logo, and I will go more into it in episode 2. But today, we're going to talk about the basics on how do you come up with an idea of how to start your own fashion brand. The first thing I learned when coming into this, there were a lot of things that you have to know before you start your own brand. Like, you might have something that you're passionate about, say lingerie, say you want to start a swimwear brand, menswear, women's wear, bridal wear, kids wear, or even a brand in homeware. It's something that you're really passionate about. I get it, right? But at the same time, what you're passionate about might not be something what the world is looking for. So before you decide and before you pour your heart and your soul into something that you really want to sell, you need to do your research. And there are many ways of doing your research. Number one is to do surveys, see what people are talking about on Instagram, see what people are talking about on Facebook, see what's the new big thing out there, and be careful. Make sure that the new big thing out there is not a fad, because there's a difference between a fad and a trend. A fad is like something that's not going to stay there very long, like fidget spinners and tie-dye, things like that. That it's a trend, yes, but it's a trend, that fad kind of trend. Like, it's not something that will sell for years and years to come. It is something that just blew up all of a sudden. Right now it's viral. The virality value of it is really high, but it's not going to stay up there really long. You want to build something that people would want to come back to again and again and again. People would want to see something new created by you. People would want to keep on wearing that stuff. You want to create things that can be worn for years to come. Another way of doing your research is Google search. You can Google search, go to Google Analytics, and then look for things that people are searching for a lot. Like in the past couple of years, or in the past year, or in the past month, what are people searching for online a lot? What is it that they want to get online that they feel that they cannot get in the local stores near them? What is it that they're buying so much? What is it that they're looking to learn, for instance? What are the favorite colors? What's trending? These are the ways of doing your research. You could also subscribe to fashion magazines if fashion brand is something that you want to start. So yeah, fashion brand is something that I want to start. So I have done my research, and I've also subscribed to a few fashion magazines online so that I can keep seeing what the new trends are. The other way to do your research is to, where you get actual statistics. Now, actual statistics you can actually get from online, free statistics, whatever is there. Google might have some, they'll give you some information, but sometimes to get a hold of these things, it's really expensive. Like, you would have to pay thousands and thousands to get the actual statistics of, like, where are people spending money in, let's say, your country where you live specifically. If, let's say, like, I'm in Australia right now, how much money are actually people spending in Perth or in Melbourne and Sydney? How do I get the statistics? There is this thing called IBIS World in Australia, and to get it in Australia, like, to get access to it, you have to spend thousands of dollars in like a year as a subscription fee. But instead, what I can do in Australia is, if I just apply to the government agency, which is SBDC, or Small Business Development Corporation. So if you're in Australia, then you're welcome. You can contact these people and they will give you access to IBIS World. They'll give you like a password that you can use for like a week, and in that week you can do as much as research as you want, and then when it expires you can ask them for another password and they will give you another password for a week, for as long as you need to keep doing your research and to get the actual statistics. Like, if you want to know how much money have Australians spent on bridal wear in 2023, or how has the trend been going? Are people still buying bridal wear? Are people still buying kids wear? Whatever it is that you need, you can use this website. Other place where you can get information is blogs. Like, a lot of people write blogs, and sometimes a lot of people out there who are in the industry, who are experts, they write blogs and they give this information out for free. So you could follow a lot of blogs and then see what they have to say on the latest thing out there. And lastly, this is my favorite. This is the blue and red ocean strategy. If you haven't heard about it, just Google it. It's really quite simple to understand. Basically, the red ocean strategy is when you go for something that's in the red ocean, your product is not really a niche. It's something that a lot of people are already doing. Like, for instance, you want to start a new clothing line in women's wear. Women's wear is a big industry and people sell clothes, women's clothes, like all over the place, more than they sell men's clothes. So going into women's wear fashion industry is more like going into the red ocean strategy, whereas a blue ocean strategy is picking up something that's not already there or might already be there but the competition is low. For example, if you're looking at maternity wear is not easy to get. Like a lot of other brands do incorporate maternity wear in their brand, but is it like you don't actually see actual maternity brands out there as much. Look for ideas that are more in the blue ocean kind of area than the red ocean kind of area. So how do you create strong branding? Number one, decide on your brand's core values. So your brand has to have its own values that no matter what the design that you release that year doesn't change from the core values. So let's say your core value is being sustainable or environmentally friendly. Tomorrow when you go out and you have a friend of a friend who works at this factory and they can get the fabric, for instance, that's cheaper, and you think, oh, that's okay because where I buy my fabric from doesn't really matter because at the end of the day the people that are making it, they get fair wages. That's not exactly sticking to your core values. Unless you're okay to overlook that information, that's fine, but you have to stick with your core values all the time. Every point you need to have your core values on your brand, on your website, right? So like when people visit your brand and your website, if your core values matter to them, then they will buy from you and they might question, with this brand you were kind of transparent with this part, but where's the fabric from? And then if you answer them, and you might anger them, you might lose one customer. You think, oh, it doesn't matter, I still have that many customers to go with, but you're sort of losing yourself in that whole selling a garment in trying to make money. You're losing your core value. What's your core value? What you started with? It is something that needs to be consistent throughout your process of owning your own brand. Number two, you need to define the key benefits of your brand, or the key features or the benefits of your brand. What would people benefit from buying your brand? You can join organization or charities and go like, okay, if I sell one t-shirt, I will plant one tree, or like 10% of everything you buy we will donate 10% of that to charity. Or it could be not something that you're giving to a charity, but something like, because this product is made from all natural materials, that means we did not use any plastic in the making of our product and everything would biodegrade easily. Number three, and this is really important, characterizing your target customers. Now, like my husband's really cute when we talk about business or target customers and things like that, and he's like, well, I'm targeting everyone. I want everyone to buy my brand. Realistically, yes, you would want everyone to buy your stuff, but when you're deciding your brand and coming up with these things, you need to really define your target customers. You can't just say everyone and anyone. Like for instance, if you take the example of Zara and H&M, you would think that a lot of people, almost everyone would buy from Zara and H&M, right? The same customers that go to Zara would go to H&M, but they both, Zara and H&M, have different feels. Who are they for? Zara is more like for the women or men who think about the latest fashion out there. They want to dress in the latest trends, but they don't want to pay that kind of money. Whereas H&M is where you could get a lot of your basics, your jeans, the things that never go out of style. They have very different feels, but at the same time, the person who goes to Zara and H&M might also go to Cotton On, but the Cotton On feel is, the target audience for Cotton On is a much younger audience than it is for H&M and Zara. Number four, analyzing your competitor. Now, it's not because of jealousy or anything, but you need to know who your competitors are, because if you don't know who your competitors are, it's going to be almost impossible for you to price your items and to know what it is that you are offering that your competitors are not offering. You just don't want to go out and open another Zara store, or you don't want to go out and open another H&M store. You don't want to compete with what's exactly out there and have the same feel and same store. It's not going to work that way. The only way to stand out is to have your brand do something different, and the only way to ensure that you do something different is to know what your competitors are doing. You need to know everything about your competitors, how they price their item, where they source their fabric, where they manufacture their items, what do they sell, how many trends do they have in a year, what's their feel, what's their aesthetic of their brand. You actually need to write them down and keep them, because we will use it later when we make our business plan in like a later video. Next, you need to build a visual identity. Maybe at this point it might be a bit too early to know like, what does my brand visually feel like, and it might be hard for a lot of people to come up with a visual identity, especially because if you're not a graphic designer, if you're not good with picking patterns and picking colors that go well together, colors that don't go well together, this might be something really hard for you. This can be something that you can keep aside and then come back later, but you can use words to describe this. Is it a minimalist brand, maximalist brand? Is it floral? Is it lots of ruching? Is it playing with fabrics, texture? Any words that make you feel like that is the aesthetic of the brand. This is when you kind of build on that visual identity of your brand. And that goes in hand with setting the tone of voice of your brand, because the same thing where your visuals, where you see something, it's your visual identity. The seeing is also a bit like the hearing, what you hear, like the tone of voice, like what are the words that you would like to associate with your brand. Like if you think of a brand like, for instance, Nike, you think athletic. Sorry about that noise, it's just things are going on. It's school holidays. There's just people all over the place. And number 7, just reinforce your brand core values. All of these need to be put down on paper, if not on computer somewhere on file, because you would use all of this. This is your brand. This is what speaks to you, and this is how you're going to come up with something concrete. So branding is more than just a logo. A lot of people think like, oh, brand is just a logo, brand is just a name, brand is just the colors. It's so much more than just the brand name, the colors, the logo. It's about what the company value is, how you feel about a brand, why is it that you would choose this brand over others when they offer the exact same thing. So when you talk about branding, you also need to think about how do you stand out from the crowd. Number 1, don't follow trends. Create them. Remember how I said analyze your competitors? Rather than just copying your competitors and making the exact same thing, create something new, something that they haven't seen before. It could be just a new color, a new pattern, a new aesthetic compared to your competitors. Or it might be how you service your customers, how the customer feels when they walk into your store, how you market yourself, how you sell your product, how you approach your customers. Number 2, communicate sincerely. So like what I'm doing here, it is hard for me to come up on video and to talk about myself and my brand and starting something and things like that. It's not easy. Sometimes I feel like I'm an imposter. People are not going to believe what I have to say. But these are kind of things that I had to work around, and I have to come up and I have to be sincere to you. So when I'm talking to you, I'm not making things up, because if I make things up, I'm not going to be able to communicate with you sincerely. Number 3, don't be afraid to experiment, like to try new things. If you think like my brand only creates minimal stuff, and one day your designer says, oh, let's create a round bag that doesn't really have structure, but for you everything has to have structure, and then you're like, oh, I don't know if this will work. Don't be afraid to experiment. And if you don't want to go out there, if you're still a small business, you might, like when you experiment, you kind of don't want to put it on the shelf yet because you think people might not buy, it's going to cost a lot of money. You could make like a couple samples and then give it to people out there, or survey people and see what they think about it. And if you get a positive feedback, that's a good way of knowing that you can put it up on shelf. Number 4, always repeat your brand message. So in every trend or in every line, every time you launch something, just don't forget to put in a bit of your brand message there. Like I know you have your core values and things like that, but every now and then you don't have to like repeat my whole vision, my mission, this is what it is. No, like just put a little bit things in there. So if you're all about sustainability and being a sustainable brand, maybe instead of just waiting every time to have a clothing line put up and then talking about your brand, you could also talk about what people are doing outside to clean up the ocean, for instance. Like you're still talking about sustainability and you're always conveying your brand message. Number 5, great visibility. When you create something, it can be the most amazing thing, but how are people going to know about it? Let's say you've created the cutting edge technology and you're like, I'm going to make lots of money. How are people going to know about it? There are many ways people can know about it. Like if you think like, no, the only way I could think about this to market this is to spend lots of money on Facebook marketing. That's not the only way. You could also do guerrilla marketing. So guerrilla marketing is basically you go out, throw out flyers, put flyers out and just randomly send people samples and tell them about your brand. That's another way. Keep sending your items to fashion magazine, or keep sending them the photo shoots that you've done in hopes that someday they will pick it up. Number 6 is exceed expectations. So just have a brand, I've started, and that's it. You have to come up with things that's better than what you just came up last year. Like if you think about it, these days, even Gucci is learning to be more sustainable. Even Louis Vuitton, they're trying to make things that is not made out of leather, but they're also making sure that the stuff they make is going to last a lifetime. And number 7, don't try to please everyone. You cannot please everyone. So sometimes you will get back replies going like, oh, when your brand makes me feel bad for the things I do, like it makes me feel like I'm not good enough because you're so sustainable, and so, or you're so minimal and I'm the messy one, and it makes it hard for me to want to buy anything from you. In fact, it just angers me to look at you. This is not your problem. but that person's problem, because in reality that was not your target customer at all. So you do not have to feel like you need to please everyone. I hope you found all these tips useful, and I hope you write everything down, and I do hope you follow me for my next video. Like if you subscribe down below, if you found this helpful, smash that like button, and if you follow me and hit the notification button too, so that you get notified when I post my next video, because my next video I'm going to talk more into branding. Like there are few videos just on branding itself before we go into marketing and all the rest of the juicy stuff, where gets the ball moving and gets you into, you know, creating your own brand. Until then, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.